What are we saying, people? So I'm going to do a little track breakdown of how I made my single out now on Crucast, which is called Love Me Better. So here's what it sounds like. Right, there we go. So that's you generally get the idea there. Let's start where everybody starts when they're making beats. Or well, I think where everybody should start when they're making beats, on the drums. So boom, let's go to here, let's go to the mixer. Let's get the drums up. So we start with how I made snares. Okay, sweet, so it's a nice sweet little snare. So I always break my snares down into to 3 sections. So I've always got an attack. So find the attack, it's down here somewhere. There we go. So this is the attack here. And I think with EQ on that, I've got, I think I've just taken away the low end, just so it has that kind of like snap. So there's that one. And then for the main fundamental of the snare, I've got, oh no, hold on. This is the fundamental over here. So now this is just a snare, excuse me, sorry, that I made on Serum, and then I bounced out to audio. It's actually from a Serum pack. If you just go on Splice and then just search for drum and bass snares, you're going to find lots of similar ones. I've tuned this to A, because the track is actually in E flat minor, so that you'll find A is a harmonic of E flat minor. So, oh no, sorry, A sharp, apologies. So kind of like, it's always nice to have, I mean, it's not essential, but I think with a lot of my tunes, I like to make sure that the snares are in key with the actual song, or at least a harmonic, so either a 5th or a 7th. I just think it makes the whole project sort of come together a bit nicer. I mean, you hear the snare about 1,000 times through the whole tune, so I think it's important to make sure the snares are sounding in key. So that's the fundamental there. Now I've got like a little character snare over the top. It kind of just gives it just a bit of an edge. So what I've done here, this is actually a Teddy Killer snare. You can find these on Splice as well. So I've cut all the low end, or most of the low end anyways. Normally that should be a low pass filter, but I mean a high, low pass filter, but it's, for some reason it's not at the moment. And so that just kind of gives it the character over the top. So, and then I've also got a clap, which is quite a nice clap. Just something subtle over the top. And then we've got just some white noise. No, this is pretty easy to make on Serum. So this is the white noise here. It always sounds nice. It kind of just, I guess it kind of fills up the higher frequencies in the tune. I mean, you don't really notice it in the song, but you do notice it if you take it out. Excuse me, I'm really sorry. My 1-year-old has a cold, so she's giving me this horrible cough. So I do apologise if I'm coughing down in the mic. So this is the kind of the white noise over the top of the snare. So basically, you can see here, just the white noise is turned on. I've just took the low end out and just boosted the tops on the EQ there in Serum, and you can see here there's only a tiny little bit of attack taken off and just a bit of release to kind of give it that character. So the snare all together, here we go. It's quite nice. It's pretty good. So it's done the trick for that. So let's have a look at the kick. Now the kick, I use an amazing plugin called Kick 2. Now I think the fundamental kick is this one. Sounds pretty terrible actually on its own. But if I go into it, this is basically just I think just a preset within Kick. So it's there's a drum and bass file, the drum and bass options you can take. I think Cal 01. I think that stands for Calix and TB. You've got like lots of different ones on here. Fox Stevenson, I'm assuming. Fresh, DJ Fresh, high contrast, hot, I'm not sure who that could be, and then net, assuming that's Net Sky, and then probably sub focus. So there's lots of different options you can have there. So I have this one here as my fundamental, And then over the top, I've got another one for just a little click, just to give a bit of character over the top. So that's just another kick on kick 2, and I've just taken all the low end out of that. So together, you can hear they sound pretty good. There you go, that's a trick. So that's the kick and the snare. I hope you guys are following, not going too quick. So that's that. So what I do as well with Ableton is a really cool function. You can group everything together. So I've created a drum group. So you've got drums here, and in that group you see I've got my snare and my kick. So when I just solo the drums, excuse me, there we go. So that's really handy to have. So on my drums, I've just got, I don't have anything on it really, just have it's just a handy way of maintaining the same volumes. I normally have my snares. How do I process the snares in terms of effects? So not a great deal. I've got a limiter on the snare to kind of, it's not really doing anything. I think it's just like a clipper really to keep it from going crazy. This is quite a handy tool. This is from Waves. This is an exciter. So there's actually a preset on there that's called VG Snare. So it just gives it that bit of character. So if I play it with or without, play it without, it kind of just boosts the tops a little bit, just kind of gives it a bit more of an edge. A little bit of compression on there, nothing much. And then the EQ just dipped out around 600 or 550 hertz there, boosted it around to 200, and just cut the low end really. So not a lot going on there. So there we go. That's the kick and the snare. Let's have a look at percussion. So hi-hats. Let's have a look here. So boom. Fairly standard. I think a lot of these are from Splice. So Tantrum Desire, he's done a great sample pack with some great tops in there. So just really basic. I've just inputted my own hi-hats there as well. We've got this here, a bit more character. I'm not even too sure what this is. Let's have a look. There you go. Just some kind of more percussion to kind of keep the energy up. And then here I've got some white noise. This is a Cashmere sample just of a crowd. And what I've done here, I've added a volume shaper on it, so it kind of ducks in and out the kick and the snare. So what I'll do, I'll play the whole tune without it, and you'll notice the difference. But if I add it, it just adds just a bit more character at the top end. There's frequencies that aren't being filled, and with the kind of crowd noise over the top, it just kind of gives it that just a bit of, I don't know, just a bit more atmosphere, I find, and it makes it kind of just more interesting to the ears without you even kind of realizing it. So here is then just some more tops. I'm not even sure what sample pack that's from, but yeah, that's that. There we go. Actually, here we go. Let's have a quick look here on the hi-hats. So what I like to do with the hats is, I don't normally do this actually, but this one I've got the Ozone imager. So I just kind of like boost the stereo at the top end here, you can see here, but I mean it just kind of gives it that kind of the illusion of wideness, I suppose. But be careful when you make anything stereo, because you can cause phasing issues when you want to play things through mono. So always kind of keep an eye on everything when you're just keep checking back to mono and stereo to make sure that there's no phasing issues when you're in stereo. Decapitator, this is a great little tool. So there's just a preset on this that has high crispy mix, and I just throw that on the hi-hats. So if I play the hi-hats there, so if I take this off, just a slight little bit of less character there. So I think it does a trick. Kind of cuts through the mix a bit nicer. Really trying not to cough. This is tough. Failed, sorry. Okay, right, so let's have a look over here. So we've done the kicks, we've done the snares, we've done the hi-hats. Now let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the bass. Right, so let's have a little look here. Solo this. Boom. Okay. So let's bring this over here. So let's have a quick look here. So on Serum, I think this is just, this is a preset. I'm not gonna lie, I've tweaked it a little bit, but it's a preset that you can find on Splice. I'm not sure what pack it's in. You just have to do a bit of digging and hopefully you'll be able to find it. There you go, TP Juju C bass. Uju, I don't even know how that's pronounced. So yeah, there you go. That's the preset there, and I've just tweaked it to how I wanted it to sound. I mean, it's an amazing preset actually. It's got a lot of attitude, and in terms of processing on this, I've just added OTT. Just, I mean, it sounds. You know what I mean? The difference that OTT makes is just crazy. I don't know what it does. It just squashes the hell out of everything. It just gives it this crazy level of attitude. So I pretty much put that on all of my basses. So I've layered that bass with a nice Reese. Just following the melody, just to kind of give it more warmth. Actually, another thing I'll point out with this one here, I do work a lot of my tunes. The main melodies are normally a 5th or a 7th. For some reason this is a 6th, but I think the way that it's pitched, this particular synth is pitched a bit strange. So if you notice, that's on the 7th and this is on the root note. So together you've got, okay, there we go. So that's what I've got there. So this Reese is basically comprised of, again, we've got OTT on there if you notice. And then, so this Reese is from, again, a sample pack. Not a sample pack, but like a preset pack. I think I downloaded it about 2 years ago. I can't remember what it's called. But I mean, Reese's are always kind of nice to have, just to layer something. Oh, sorry, hit the mic. To have as like a layer, kind of has that attitude that carries it through. You'll notice that I use the word attitude a lot, but I think attitude is fundamental when you're making drum and bass. So here we go. Together, that's what you get there. So here's what I've done on the actual bass channel. If you notice as well, I've grouped all of my basses together, so there's quite a few going on here. It just means you can control them all and they're much easier to manage. So on my bass channel, I've got a compressor here sidechained to the drums. I've got the Fab Filter EQ. I've just dipped out at 200, as you can see here. I've got some mid-side EQ in. Now I don't know why this, like I use mid-side EQ in on everything. I'm not sure if you're supposed to or not, but I do, and it seems to work. I feel like if you just cut everything as normal without using mid-side EQ, you kind of lose a bit of, I don't know, you just seem to lose an element of the bass, I find. Whereas if you use mid-side EQ, you still kind of keep that warmth. And also with the same time cutting the low end. Just dipped it a little bit here around 5k. I think it just makes a big difference. I think there's a lot of harsh frequencies up there, so you want to kind of dip it over here and obviously dip some space here for the snare. So all together we have, oh no, what else do we have on here then? Oh, here we go. So Decapitator. Now this, shout out to Chris from Prototypes and Circadian, because he did a tutorial and he puts this on his bass channel when I started doing it, and it made a massive improvement. So if you have Decapitator, there's a preset and bass. It's called Thick Mild Crunch. Excuse me. And I just whack it on the bass, and it makes a big difference. So if I play with, and then play without, I mean the difference there is just ridiculous. So yeah, absolutely use that if you can. And then here we go. What else do we have here? That's it really. I've got some automation here on a bass clef easy washout, which I kind of, it's like a reverb that I use at the tail end of the 16 bars to kind of like give it this feeling that it's coming to a crescendo every 16. Let me see if I can show you the automation here. If you look at here, or maybe not here. There you go, yeah, just little subtle things here and there. You might have a better example coming up now. There you go, so it's very subtle, but I use it on pretty much every tune. Okay, so that's the bass. There we go. Getting through it. Sub, how do I process my sub? Let's have a look here. It's just a sine wave I've used on massive. Pretty straightforward stuff. Just following the melody. So on the sub, I always put utility on there. I mean, it's in mono anyways, but just to make sure there's no sort of like stereo frequencies like there would be, but just in case. I always cut then, excuse me again, the tops, just to make sure there's no sort of like, I guess, rogue frequencies, you know, coming out from the sub, which you don't want. So you'll notice if I just have this on, you'll notice there's just nothing there. It's all low end. I've also got, again, the Apex exciter, which is from WAVs, and there's a preset on there called Dirty Low Power, I think it's called. No, Low Rider, and you just whack it on there, and it seems to kind of just give the sub bass just a bit more aggression, a bit more attitude. Again, is the word of the day. So that's that. Then what do we have here? Over the top, we've got some leads, although I've called it lead. Must have been in a rush. Nothing too fancy. Once again, it's just kind of adding something over the top to kind of keep up the interest, really. Like, you notice it without it. It's very subtle, barely noticeable, but it's always good to have, I think, just some top end there in the mix just to keep it going. So it's just a basic sine, I think just a pad really. What is it? Just a very basic, yeah, just a saw wave basically. And I've got an arpeggiator on it to kind of give it that that rhythm. An LFO tool on it. I'm not even sure what that's doing. Oh, that's to kind of just to duck it in and out. Probably doing the exact same thing the arpeggiator is doing, to be fair. And then some. There we go, just to cut the lows off, just some EQ there, that's it. But that's all we have on the leads. For some reason I've got about 25. Oh no, we've got a bit more in the intro here. Okay, cool, there we go. So that was a breakdown of my tune. Hope you liked it. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Also, this tune is out now on Crucast. It's called Love Me Better. Big up, much love.